contentious conference foes, was hosted in Berkeley this year in the battle between Stanford and Cal. The two Pac-12 rivals relished the opportunity to outdo each other on the gridiron in the series dating back to 1892, a mere 400 years before Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Both teams came into the big game brouhaha bearing 3-7 records, hoping they could clip their rival to salvage some sort of soothing for the season gone sideways by stealing the Stanford axe for their own. The Cardinal corralled the opening kick and carved the Cal defense with a 42-yard run and converted it into an early 7-0 lead. The Bears bit back and found a field goal to cut the Cardinal lead down to 7-3. Stanford slid back down the field and slotted a Joshua Carty kick to take a 10-3 lead. Cal then found another field goal, tightening the tussle to 10-6. After the half, the Cardinal came out with a cleverly crafted 11-play drive to take a 17-6 lead. Stanford seemed to have a stranglehold on the Stanford axe, but there was nearly a quarter and a half of game time left. Cal couldn't muster any muscle to marshal the ball anywhere, and the third quarter came to a close. However, the Bears bullied the Cards to punt the pigskin back to them at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Cal quickly questioned the Cardinal defense and defiantly darted for a score, slicing the Stanford supremacy down to 17-12. On the next Cardinal drive, the Bears blasted the ball carrier who coughed up the oblong oval, and Cal collected it, carrying it back for a touchdown to take the lead 18-17. Then Cal calmly converted a 2-point conversion to stretch their advantage to 2017. The Bears were ahead for the first time in the contest, but carelessly threw an interception to keep the Cardinal chances alive. However, the Bears defense was determined to deny any endeavor by Stanford and shot in front of a Stanford pass, intercepting it, running it back deep into Cardinal territory. Cal converted the interception into a touchdown on a daring dive over the defenders into the end zone to stretch the lead to 27-17. Stanford settled for a 61-yard Carty kick to slice the Cal lead to 7 as the clock expired. The crazed Cal crowd stormed the field and carried off their captain after their victory in the big game. Cal 27, Stanford 20.
Welcome everyone to the Sickos podcast. This is our recap of week 12 of college football. As always, I'm Jordan. I'm the VP of CFL tonight. And with me as always is the commissioner and our special guest, Beth. Beth, how was your weekend?
My weekend was kind of bonkers. I was a musician this weekend, so I didn't get to watch much football, and I am really excited to find out what happened.
So have you heard about the West Virginia game? Like, do you know anything about it?
I know that my dad didn't want to talk about it. That's
Okay.
usually a bad sign.
Kamish, how was your weekend?
It was a lot of fun. Did a lot of college football watching. Of course, today was just a madhouse, just trying to get like everything. I never realized how many clothes you have to go through when it's actually cold. It's a lot of layers. So it's just like extra loads of laundry I was not ready for. And then there was the case of my missing pants. So apparently, like I have like some like lined pants that are not jeans, and I've lost them for a week. Couldn't find them at all. And so I was like, well, I guess they're somewhere in the laundry. So I did all the laundry and the pants were still missing. I'm like, how do you just lose pants? Like I don't go anywhere where, the pants would go missing. So just baffled like for like 3 or 4 hours trying to search to find these pants. Apparently it fell in like a crevice of our bed and like the headboard, which is in this weird in between like the comforter, and like I had no idea I could get there, but the pants have been found, so crisis averted.
I have to ask, as the resident northerner on this podcast right now, what does cold weather attire look like for my Texan friends? Jordan, you don't count. You went to school in New England.
Okay, but the funny thing is that in New England, I really wasn't super conscious about like what I wore, because I would just wear jeans no matter what. I didn't really think about long thermals or whatever. I was stupid and young. But nowadays, like I need a little more. So we went out my kiddo had soccer on Saturday morning, and it was like in the 30s, feels like in the high 20s. So it was cold. And so I went out there. I was like, well, I gotta make sure I'm warm. And so I wore, I think, every piece of cold weather clothing I have, like a beanie and the gloves and like a hoodie with like a big down jacket over it and whatever. And I'm sitting out there like in my camper chair with my Yeti of coffee, trying to like cheer my kid on, like, good job, go, yeah. It was great.
That's spectacular.
I mean, I think it hit like maybe in San Antonio. I've been a southerner my whole life. I think the most I've lived north. Like I've visited like north in the winter and whatnot, but like the most I lived north was like Monroe, Louisiana. So that was basically the most I've ever stayed in a city that was north was North Louisiana. So yeah, really honestly, it was just like, I would wear just like normal pants that are just like lined. Like I'm not wearing jeans. I don't unless I have to. And then I mean, really just a long sleeve shirt. And then like a pretty like not like a thick jacket, but something that wind doesn't penetrate. And then with the optional hood if necessary. But really, it wasn't too bad. The only problem was it was rainy here, so it's like that cold, damp. It wasn't incredibly cold, but it's just like you're wearing pants. You got maybe one or two additional layers, and then you only have like so many coats, so you got to wash all those, or don't want to wear the same jacket over and over again, right?
So something more like the bedraggled pictures that I was sending you guys when I was at the West Virginia Rain Games this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something like that. Yes.
Of all the things I did pick up in college in the Northeast, the girl I dated senior year, who was very posh New York, she got me into wearing scarves and pea coats, like long, like double-breasted coats. And so the coat thing is sort of stuck with me, but my scarf collection is insane. I have, like, you count the soccer, okay, so I have soccer scarves. Like, I collect those, at least 24 soccer scarves. Like, that's separate. But like my scarf collection, my usable scarf collection, is 30 pieces at this point. And I've got things from, I have like the traditional stripy scarves. I have a Burberry scarf that is like the prize of my collection. My kids, when I used to teach, my kids would make fun of me because after a while they started learning the different knots and scarf knots. You do the little Parisian wrap where you tuck it in and got the double wrap. Oh, different scarves have different wraps.
The
And
braid wrap.
oh,
Yeah,
yep,
absolutely.
got all those things. Yeah. Whenever it's even like slightly breezy out, I will wear, okay, so I am a shorts and hoodie kind of guy. I wear sandals, shorts, and a hoodie. Like if it gets below 50, like that's just what I wear
So you're a Pennsylvania college student at all times.
at all times, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I will wear a scarf with that. So, knit shorts, sandals, but the top is a hoodie, hood up with a scarf tucked in.
That's
I can't
amazing.
I can't explain it.
I-
Sometimes I'll sleep with a scarf on if I'm feeling super cozy.
What?
I'll sleep with a scarf on. And my wife's like, "You're gonna choke yourself to death at night. Like, you're gonna die, asphyxiate yourself."
I'm just gonna be honest with you. I have never worn a scarf in my life. Like
Get you a scarf. Get you a scarf.
I have scarves. I have
Okay.
like soccer scarves. I have like I guess like a full cast scarf. I mean, I don't think my neck ever gets that cold.
See,
But I'm not up north, so
the misconception about scarf is that the scarf is all about neck warmth. It's not. Like a properly wrapped scarf will keep your whole chest warm, which is like that's the thing. It covers the seam of the coat. So if you have wind penetration,
that's why you do the wrap where you tuck it in.
Yep.
Because then you get this whole part warm. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, man.
this is
I can't tie a tie for shit. I don't know my knots. I tie every time I tie a tie, it's like a shitty half Windsor. I don't do that. But my scarf tying, fucking on point.
like I don't. This is just like a foreign language to me. I mean, I'm just again the most north that I've ever been. It's like Monroe, Louisiana. So I mean, I've been like just basically hanging out on I-10 my entire life, essentially. So yeah, this is just a foreign language to me.
listen, when we get you guys up to a couple of West Virginia games,
Oh, God.
I will have scarves for you and we can do like scarf lessons. Jordan, I'll work on a full Windsor with the scarf.
Yeah. Speaking of some cold weather stuff this week, this was the cold weather weekend of college football. The first shout I want to give is it's 9:18 Central on 11:20, and the CFL Grey Cup Championship just finished. Chad Kelly, CFL champion with the Toronto Argonauts. He came in, the Argonauts QB was injured, and led them to the win. I was super impressed. Argos disrupt Winnipeg's attempted three-peat. It was a great game. It was a really good game.
It was a lot of fun. Now I think I may have jinxed the Blue Bombers, so I apologize to all the folks in Winnipeg. I went to go put the kiddo to bed, and the last thing I saw, I believe Winnipeg was up 23-14.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it looks like Winnipeg's going to win. And so I walked away and I typed it in the Discord. And then it turns out that the commission may have jinxed the Blue Bombers, may have stopped the Blue Bombers dynasty in its track. But no, it was mostly Swag Kelly from Ole Miss, winning an Ole Miss quarterback, winning
a championship.
The championship. I think one of our people we follow podcast just said that it feels like a joke that he wrote 5 years ago. Chad Kelly, CFL champion.
If I asked you whether or not Chad Kelly or Dr. Bo was going to get a Grey Cup championship first, where would you have stood on that prior to this?
Oh, it would have been Dr. Bo. Absolutely.
Dr. Bo would have had, Dr. Bo for sure. I thought Chad Kelly would bounce around the NFL a little bit longer, which he kind of did, but he didn't. He never like stuck anywhere, which I thought he was going to stick, and then he just wound up in the. I mean, I feel like they just signed him like a couple of weeks ago.
No, it was a super weird signing, and everyone was like, "Well, that's bizarre." He hadn't played football in like a year or two, anyways.
Yeah,
Like the Canadian Kurt Warner.
Yeah, basically.
Chad Kelly stocking groceries at a Canadian grocery store.
You just found him there.
Just
And
he was behind a stack of Weetabix. It was the craziest thing.
Jeez.
The deep cut for our Canadian followers. So, like this podcast likes to do, I want to talk about the playoffs. You know, we talk about the playoffs every week in here. We talk about those playoffs. We talk about the big names in the playoffs. And this week, we figured out who the FCS playoffs were going to be. Guys, I want to say that North Dakota State ranked overall third seems super high. I'm just going to say that was, for me, the biggest thing. Overall, top seeds were number 1, South Dakota State. Number 2, Sacramento State, the Hornets, which have had a great year. And number 3, North Dakota State with 2 losses. I'm just not feeling it.
And then Montana State was 4.
Which I think they should have been higher than North Dakota State. Especially after they absolutely pasted Montana this weekend.
Is there a reason that they did that to maybe make sure that the 1 and 3 and the 2 and 4 can't meet in the same side of the bracket or something of that nature? You think they probably did something of that?
It may have been. It just that to me just feels really wonky in terms of without thinking about the geographicness of it. It just feels very wonky because North Dakota State, I don't even know that they should have been in the top 4. They've had a year. They lost to Arizona. Remember, that was our big like moment at the beginning of the year. They went to Arizona and lost. We thought, well, I mean, Jedd Fisch does have Arizona on a much better track, but still, other big things. We're looking at 2 Patriot League teams in the FCS playoffs: Holy Cross and the Fordham Rams.
Ramley,
Yes.
hashtag Ramley. Fordham got in. I was worried that they weren't going to get in. And that was the one that I thought was on the bubble for sure. And I'm glad Fordham got in because, I mean, they are just incredibly entertaining. Just throw the ball everywhere. And I mean, they only had 2 losses this year. So, and they lost to what? Holy Cross, and they lost to Ohio, the Bobcats. That's it.
Yep.
So they deserve to get in.
It's nice to see that, you know, that the playoff isn't so sunk in the North Dakota bias that they can't let in, you know, a plucky metropolitan team like Fordham.
Exactly. New York's one true team.
Yeah.
That's right.
So they said that in the first round, they work off of regionalness. They try to keep the regionals together, okay? In the first round, they try to keep schools nearby. And you look at some of these and you're going, that makes sense. Things like, for example, New Hampshire's playing Fordham. Delaware's playing St. Francis out of Pennsylvania. Great. And then Southeastern Louisiana in Hammond, the Daiquiri Cats, they are hosting the Idaho Vandals.
Yeah, they're sending Idaho back to their Sun Belt roots.
Hell yeah, back in the Sun Belt, baby.
When Idaho had to play in Monroe and Idaho had to play in Lafayette. So I think Idaho's familiar with the state of Louisiana. They've never had to play
flashbacks, God.
Sun Belt flashbacks for Coach Eck and the Vandals.
Oh, that's not a welcome back. That's a hostage situation.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited for the Idaho fans to show up drinking all those $5 daiquiris and just having the time of their life.
I mean, flying to New Orleans, enjoy New Orleans, Vandals fans. I mean, Hammond's about an hour drive away. I mean, depending on the traffic, of course. But, I mean, really, live it up there. Don't stay in Hammond. There's really nothing to do.
There's a Holiday Inn there. I've stayed at a Holiday Inn there before, yeah.
Okay. I mean, you could stay in Baton Rouge, too, because, I mean, Baton Rouge is like maybe like 30, 40 minutes, 45 minutes away, too. So either one you want to stay in, it would be a perfect time. And then, again, $5 daiquiris at the, you know, Southeastern Louisiana game. I'm sure, like, whatever the temperature is in Idaho, it'll be balmy for you no matter what it is in Louisiana.
I really need to get back to Louisiana.
How did you guys deal with Twitter about to die this week? Because it was a Thursday when everyone started panicking?
Yeah, that feels about right.
Yeah, it was Thursday night. So, I mean, there was a lot of news that was coming out saying Twitter was about to die. There's nobody working. They locked everybody out. All the badgers were locked out. And, I mean, being the Sickos committee, we're like, you know, we just keep earning these followers on Twitter. So like I'm panicking. I'm like, okay, we have an Instagram, we have a subreddit, we have a podcast, we have a Substack, I created a Mastodon. I don't even know
Yeah, but
where
I don't know
it
what the fuck
is.
Mastodon's
I
doing.
don't
Yeah.
even know what server it's
What
on.
server's your
but
Mastodon on?
it's
These
some
fucking words I don't understand.
I
Hello, fellow
again,
kids.
I was trying to figure it out, just to like, okay, it's going down. I mean, the only thing that was kind of keeping me relatively calm was just Tulane taking it out on SMU.
Yeah, we may
God,
or
it
may
was.
not have made a secret new Sickos Discord, maybe. Who can
Maybe.
say?
Who can say?
Yeah, we have that. We were setting things up. I was shit posting, being like, "Hey, what's everyone's guys? We're going to ICQ now. I'll get a server going. We got it."
Oh, the amount of fiddling while Rome burned that you were doing, Jordan, was just
Yeah.
exquisite.
Kamish was doing the real work, and I'm just sitting there shit posting back. Where's your Friendster, guys? Let's get on MySpace. Woo woo woo. Psh, psh, psh.
If you don't have a 5-digit ICQ number, are you even real?
Are you even real?
I was like, do I need to set up like a Sickos committee Snapchat? How do I do this? It's like, I was like,
We all realize that even our youngest people are too old for TikTok.
I was just like, no, we can't do a Sickos TikTok. I can't, I'll just try to, we gained a good bit of followers on Instagram, but it's weird. I'm trying to like tweet, but use like the stories as tweets, which they disappear after 24 hours, which is great for me because normally on game day, all these tweets that we tweet, I kind of like, oh my God, what happened? I wake up the next day, it's just a blur.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about maybe doing a Tumblr.
Yeah.
I was like, just throw it out there.
All my furry poster finally got a place to go.
I'm here for when we decide to open up a live journal.
Uh-huh. Got a Zynga.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Loved a Zynga.
One of our followers did a great thing where they posted like the old front page of AOL that had all the categories, but then subbed one of them out for Sickos Committee.
Oh
It's
my
really good.
gosh, that's so good.
Absolutely killed me.
Yeah, like if you go into the AOL chat rooms under the social pattern, right between the Forest and the Red Dragon Inn, we were going to put the Sickos Committee.
Yeah, that's be right there.
Seriously, I was like,
GeoCities.com/Coliseum/1379 is my GeoCities address. Sign my address book.
I just figured out the code that turns your cursor into the Sickos Committee head. It'll be great.
Yeah. Got a MIDI file. I got a MIDI file of the Wisconsin fight song playing in the background too. Yeah.
The entire board is just the hamster dance, only instead of the hamsters, it's just like Lane Kiffin making a face.
So we're going to remake the peanut butter jelly time video. It's like a Sickos guy and just saying yes, haha, yes, the whole time.
I told you, we're going back to Usenet, baby.
Oh, that's spectacular. Do the dancing baby, but it's Big Red.
Uh-huh. Exactly right.
It's perfect. No,
we are going to, yeah, guys. Once this is our plan to be backwards compatible with the entirety of the internet. The problem we're running into is that, and I forget who posted it, but it's the idea that we need something for people who are ugly like me. I can't have video. I'm not attractive enough for video, guys, or pictures. I need text. Text is how I survive.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put me on video, guys. I don't have a video face. I have a text face.
That's why they make filters.
Absolutely.
You get filters, like you could put the Sicko face filter on Instagram. We'll
There we
develop
go.
that on Snapchat. Sicko filters. I did want to talk about the Tulane game though, because Tulane had lost 7 straight to SMU, which, in heartbreaking fashion, there was the one where they said that he was short of the goal line, Banks was in. The call went against them, and then, Tulane wound up not being bowl eligible because of that. They've lost like some heartbreaking, like last minute SMU games, and it feels like they just took everything, all like the 7 years of frustration, and just let it all out.
Brutal. It was brutal. Tulane 59, SMU 24.
I think my favorite was when SMU was down 56-14. SMU was like, hey, we're gonna kick a field goal. So it's 56-17, and then Tulane drove down and kicked the field goal to make it like 59. And then I think SMU scored like as the clock expired, or it was like 2 seconds left or whatever. It was ridiculous. So let me see if I can do my dad's Tulane updates again.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, these texts are great.
So these are a lot of fun. He was just like, Wave versus Bearcats next, Alamo Bowl, laugh out loud. I was so I respond back though, like maybe a potential New Year's Six bowl. They finally beat SMU, and he goes, yes. That's it.
Mwah.
That's my dad's Tulane text updates.
So SMU had 500 yards. Tulane had 450 on only half as many plays. Tulane only ran 66 plays. SMU ran 111 plays to Tulane's 66. That's insane.
Well, I mean, SMU did turn the ball over 5 times, so
That'll do it.
yeah,
Oh,
that'll
God.
definitely do it.
So Tulane is now in the AAC title game?
No, so they're 9-2. They go to play on Black Friday at Cincy. The winner of Cincy and Tulane gets a spot in the American. Some weird stuff happened this weekend.
Mhm.
So, again, definitely with UCF and Cincy and Tulane, there's a little bit of a weird tiebreaker we can get to a little bit later.
I love when game day goes to fun places. And this week, they went to Bozeman. I don't usually watch all of game day for a lot of reasons. I watched all of game day because it had some amazing moments. My favorite part was they always have that little bit of like game day before game day starts where they cut in during like early sports center and they're like, hey, how's it going? Game day's setting up. And Kirk looks so cold and so sad. It was dark. It was -3. Someone called to say he looked like Ohio State Jones. It was great. The layers were wonderful. Apparently the hat was, his wife dressed him, so the hat was part of that. It was great. But man, that early morning bit, he looked so cold and miserable.
That picture is just breathtakingly funny.
I went through a whole bunch of screenshots trying to find the perfect one, and that was like the best, oh God, what am I doing moment.
Oh yeah, that's like, wait a minute, the show is how long? I have to be
Mhm.
out here how long? It doesn't get warmer?
No, it really didn't warm up for them whatsoever. Honestly, it got like warmer once the sun came out, but really not much. I think the high in Bozeman was only like 26. It was funny to me. I would be incredibly cold there too. I would be doing everything that Kirk was doing. It was just really kind of like Kirk was seemingly the one that was faring the worst out of everybody there. Like Reese was hanging in well.
Corso was fine.
Corso was great. We were happy to have Corso back. He was living it up. Like Corso was loving this. He was having a blast.
The
out
best
there.
quote was, "We'll go wherever Disney sends us."
That's right. Desmond lives in Miami. I can't imagine going from Miami to Montana. So I mean, it was ridiculous. Kirk was just basically, he had hand warmers on the set. I just kept seeing him having 2 hand warmers in his hands the whole time. Kirk's mic froze. Like, he had to use like a hand mic, and then like there was a cutaway for him at the commercial. Like somebody came up, and then he had his shoes off, and there was like 2 like people that work on the show, like staffers, like ladies were like just putting like foot warmers all over his feet. I don't know if like his feet were iced over, but we didn't see anything else for anybody else. It was just Kirk, and I wonder if Kirk maybe thought about, maybe I should have been, in Clemson for my son's senior day instead of Montana. I wonder if that ran through his head.
I will note the lack of a properly wrapped scarf, and I'm not going to say that's why he was so cold, but listen.
No, we're talking about scarves again.
Like those kinds of gaps are just unacceptable.
Yeah.
Now, a shout out, by the way, to Falca, who did not care about what he was like, I'm going to be warm no matter what. He had a beanie from his mother-in-law and like the biggest, like puffiest jacket you've ever seen. And was just not these guys are all trying to look sharp and dapper. Falca was like, no, I'm cold. Fuck it.
Bear, I told you, Bear would have a puffy coat with like a little fur line hood. I knew he would do it. He didn't care. They put them all on the set. It was fun. Like they're all on like outside on the set, like, like the turf set. And it's just, you could just see everybody. I think McAfee, he was like dancing because he was cold. You could just see him like going back and forth, just shuffling to try to stay warm. It was amazing. I mean, they had McAfee wrestled a cow to the ground.
Yeah.
A steer.
With the Montana State rodeo team. Yeah.
Yeah. The famous, rodeo clown they had there. He like lassoed a mechanical bull, and then he hit the gritty after that, which was
great.
just
Amazing. That feels about right.
They had so much fun, and the crowd was great, and they said that this was they're down to only, I think, 9 states left where they haven't gone to game day. And some of those I was kind of surprised about. So apparently they've never done game day in Hawaii, which even through all like the good Hawaii years, I assumed they would have done it, but it is like that would be like a 3 a.m. start for game day, which is rough. which is a rough go.
It'd be a little rough there. It definitely. I don't know how many
Yeah.
Hawaii fans would be out there. A lot of like the New England ones surprised me. Like they've never been to. I mean, like what is it, Maine?
They haven't been to
You
Maine.
said
Haven't been to Maine. They haven't been to Vermont. Vermont has a problem. They don't have a D1 football team, but they do have
Yeah.
D3 teams.
Yes.
Norwich plays a couple of Norwich and Middlebury are both like teams they could go to if they wanted to. They hadn't been to They hadn't been to Wyoming, which was a shocker.
What do
Gotta
we
get
need
to
to do
that.
to put game day on top of Mount Washington?
With just the wind blasting through. God. So the roughest one we realized was that Alaska. There is no college football in Alaska. And so that means that they got to go to Barrow High School. And I volunteered us. I said, we do it. We call it game day. We do the whole thing. Send us to Barrow, Alaska for a home game. We'll go.
Oh, absolutely. We could get like 15 of us to go. That'd be great.
Oh, yeah. We'll be the whole crew. You don't need to send a crew. Just give us equipment.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll just do it ourselves. It's fine.
I
Also,
filmed a documentary in Palestine with a backpack. I got this.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, exactly. We this experience. See,
all right. I probably will need a scarf for that trip. I'm just gonna.
you might need a scarf for that trip. Yeah,
Maybe.
and we're gonna have to get you more proficient with firearms because polar bears do show up to those games, and apparently at the Barrow games,
Okay.
folks sit on top of the visiting team buses to holler if polar bears start showing up.
Okay.
That's like a spotter job they have. So yeah.
All right.
Bears, cold. I got this.
Head on.
Yeah,
the
wait a second. Yeah,
swivel.
no, actually, Beth is actually probably our most qualified person for all of this.
We gotta take. Beth.
She's way
gotta-
more rugged than you or I, my friend.
As your certified hilljack correspondent, I am here for you.
Gotta take the mountaineer with us.
I'm a fucking fancy lad compared to Beth. Good God.
I would definitely be out of my element. Get me in the swamps, I'm fine. Out in the desert a little bit, I'm fine here in San Antonio in the heat. But like, you put me in Barrow, Alaska, I'm gonna need some help. I'm just gonna say that.
We've got you. This is why we're a committee.
That's right.
Exactly. We need all the people. Let's get into some of our games. There was in the early hours some really weird ones where we had teams that barely hung on for dear life. I'm going to start with Michigan 19, Illinois 17.
I'm sorry, what?
Right. So Illinois' defense showed up. Michigan was down 17-10 going into the fourth and crawled back. It was a bonkers game. It was real close the whole time. Illinois looked really good. And their defense looked really good. Basically, Michigan's run game got stopped up. Blake Corum went down. I haven't heard if he's hurt or not hurt.
I mean, he came back in the second half. I don't think he was riding a bike. He was still in uniform. So I don't know what it is. He was delivering turkeys to, with his NIL money, he was delivering the turkeys to people, residents of Ann Arbor today, what I saw. And they asked him about the knee. He was like, it's fine. But like, I mean, everybody was like watching him deliver turkeys and make sure he wasn't limping. It's just classic Ann Arbor. That, honestly, this was like one of those Saturdays where you just needed to survive somehow.
Yeah.
And Michigan was one of those that was able to survive. Like the top teams were facing. I feel like this is the fun part for me. Like the SEC is scheduling like light this week.
Mhm.
And then like every other conference is just playing somebody ridiculously hard inside their conference. And it's just like the SEC is like, I mean, they still play all their teams in conference.
Oh, yeah.
They still do all that stuff, but they have like a de facto bye week essentially with the SoCon challenge. And like no other conference has adapted to this method. Like they could have done this. Like they could have just shuffled some of their non-con games.
Oh, yeah, they could do this.
They could all do this, but they choose not to. And this is what happens.
So then we had a game that I watched all of. TCU 29, Baylor 28.
How much fucking around is TCU going to have to do before the finding out occurs?
You know what? I thought this was it. This was it because TCU looked like they were against the wall the whole game. And at no point did TCU look like they had this thing under control. And then the stupidest thing I have ever seen happened at the very end. Kamish, can you find a video of the last bit of the Baylor of TCU game? because I need Beth to watch this in real time.
You need like the most popular tweet we had yesterday.
Yes, I need that.
Okay, let me see if the video has been pulled down. Hold on.
Oh, that's right. Copyright. Twitter copyright is working again.
Twitter copyright sometimes works, but not always. There you go. It was our most popular tweet. Just enjoy this. I'm sure Beth will probably see the headline.
Okay, so before you start it, Beth, let me tell you.
Okay.
TCU is down by 2, 26-28 with 13 seconds left. They are in field goal range, and instead of stopping the clock before their field goal, they run the ball.
Oh my.
And the clock's running. Okay? Now hit play, and you can see what happens.
So they just ran the ball.
Yes.
Okay. What?
I have never seen anything that bonkers before. My heart was just about to go out of its chest.
They cycled the entire team.
Yep. And at the end, they go talk to Sonny Dykes, and Sonny Dykes says, "Yeah, we practice this every week."
What?
Every Thursday. Every Thursday. They do the fire drill field goal every Thursday. And honestly, I mean, I can't remember the last time a fire drill field goal worked. Like on Twitter, somebody said it was like something that happened in 2010.
Oh yeah.
That was the last time this worked. I remember last year Steve Adazio tried this when he didn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had more time and then it failed. And then
this is usually a recipe for, assuming you even get the thing off, that it's going to beam the strength coach in the side of the head. Like
that no one jumps off sides.
They actually managed to get everybody off. Like
everyone's off the field.
They don't get the substitution penalty. Like that's wow.
So apparently the key here is that when a game is this close and at the very end of the game, one of the rules is that you can't slow substitute on defense.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, because the rule says it's assumed that they're going to try a field goal, there is no substitution rule. You should know that. You should be ready for this.
Okay.
And so that's what stopped Baylor from doing a slow substitution and running the clock out.
That makes sense, because part of me was like, Baylor's really playing along with this. That's suicidal.
Watching that happen live, I saw them run the ball, and I was just like, what the? I didn't know what was going on because it made no sense. And watching Griffin Cal, the field goal kicker, almost not even stop to take a breath before he kicks it. He almost walks onto the field and just walks straight into the kick. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Anyways, TCU has yet to find out, and will continue to fuck around until further notice.
Who are they fucking around with next week?
Iowa State.
Oh God.
Oh.
Iowa State in Fort Worth.
Okay. One thing is like people always ask is like, is Sickos a bad team? Like, is it always have to be a bad team? I was like, well, you want to know how a good team could be Sickos? Here you go. It's TCU, all right? Because again, the whole thing is like, are you this guy with the hands on the windows going, yes, yes, as they're running a fire drill field goal for the win and hitting it? And the funny part for me is that they kicked it on like the hill where there's nothing but a bunch of TCU fans. And so like it goes into like the TCU crowd and you could see all the TCU fans go bonkers in Baylor Stadium just celebrating the field goal going off. And I mean, like the crowd shots, like the crowd videos you get after, like on social media, it's just amazing. But again, a good team, you know,
absolutely,
undefeated, can still be Sickos, and this is definitely is definitely one of them.
I mean, a great litmus test for that is if both the winning team and the losing team in this case are looking at it and going, wow, that was just absolute bullshit.
Yes, that's you know what? That is a great point. It is that combination of everyone going, I don't feel good about this.
Like basically like, I can't believe we won this game, and the other team is like, I can't believe we lost this game.
Yep.
So let's talk about Pitt and Duke. Pitt 28, Duke 26. This game, let's start with my favorite part of this game, the birds. They had thrown down some grass seed apparently very recently onto Heinz Field.
It seems that way.
Oh no. So this was at Heinz?
Yeah.
This is at Heinz. So
And
this
apparently
happened.
they have bird problems there before sometimes.
I mean, Heinz has grass problems.
Yes.
Like there have been
Yeah.
so many times when they've just like, we're just going to put turf on the turf and it'll probably be fine. The
So
WPIAL playoffs are going on right now, so they're playing high school games on the field
Oh
on
God.
Fridays, and then they drag in the college team on Saturday, and then they have the Steelers that are playing there on Sunday, and so like the field is just a horrific nightmare. So I'm not surprised that they're like, they've tried so many things and nothing works. By the time you get to the end of November, they're basically just playing in a mud pit.
the funny part to me is that these pigeons arrived last week when the Steelers were playing against the Saints. So being a Saints fan, really, I watched a little bit of the game, and then these random pigeons on the field. I'm like, what's going on? And then so when Pitt plays Duke, the pigeons are back, and they seem to be more plentiful than what they were for the Saints in Steelers game. And it's just like there's just endless amounts of pigeons all in the end zone. There was a photo of them that the pigeons were just incredibly orderly. Like they weren't in the middle of the field. They were just
They were
all
right
on the
outside the
hash
hashes.
marks.
They were right
Just on
outside the
hash-
hashes.
And I'm like, this has got to be they're throwing down like grass seed, and the pigeons are just eating the grass seed, and they're just eating the grass seed and basically not letting the grass grow. And it's just like they don't stop the game to like wave the pigeons off because they just come back. So this is just. I mean, there's a picture. One of our followers is Jeff Gamza at J Gamza, and he has a photo of the Duke punt returner just surrounded, like he's in the movie Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, surrounded by pigeons. It's a beautiful picture, and this uniform matchup was crazy because Duke had blue pants, and the blue helmet, and the rest white. And the pit had the yellow pants and the blue top. It was just a great like it was just a great backdrop to watch a football game. And so I had this on in the quad one, of course, and I had the sound on this one the whole game. And it was just an absolute delightful special teams mess. Like
It was so messy. It was so messy.
anything special teams in this game would go wrong, and it went wrong. I think Duke like muffed a punt, lost it. Duke muffed a punt, got it back. Duke had a punt blocked, and then Pitt blocked a punt. Then there was at the end of the game, Pitt's trying to salt it away. They're up 8, and then their punter just like drops the ball, and it's like a 22-yard loss to get Duke back in the game. But Duke couldn't do anything until it was like 4th and 18, and then Duke throws a touchdown from the 19 on 4th and 18. They missed the 2-point conversion. This game was just absolutely coastal chaos, just beautiful game. I put in the Discord after the game. I was like, this game was absolutely hilarious. And then so Pit Girl was like, well, not really. It was very frustrating. And then there was a Duke fan that was just like, no, not. I'm like, I'm sorry. As a neutral, I really love this.
Yeah, I know. As a neutral, this was great.
As a neutral, it was great. But if you're a Pit fan or a Duke fan, you probably weren't enjoying this one because you wanted to pull all of your hair out.
I mean, but those are two fan bases that have had to deal with Hitchcockian football on a level that most of us can only dream of experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm hearing here is that this was a game that was haunted by the ghost of Frank Beamer, and he couldn't send turkeys, so he just sent pigeons.
Basically.
It's about right.
Ooh.
Wait, is Frank Beamer dead?
No, he's still alive.
No,
okay.
he's very much
okay.
so.
Okay. It's like, oh God, did I miss this?
What did I do with my Sunday night? I killed Frank Beamer.
Apparently. Jeez.
Okay.
Please
I'm
be
gonna
fine, Frank.
I'm gonna tell you a score, Beth.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you Texas A&M 20, UMass 3.
I wish we could see your we could put your facial expression on the podcast.
Texas A&M 20, UMass 3. I'm gonna give you a better bit though. At the end, let's say in the middle of the second quarter, the score was 3-3.
Oh no! Oh no! A&M, no!
A&M fans, this is what rock bottom looks like, guys.
That's horrible. That's just, oh God, it's in the walls. Just tear it down and start again.
Mm-hmm. Gonna have to rip this down to the studs. It didn't help that it was a really messy day in Central Texas. And so after halftime, after the band marched, everyone cleared out.
So was this a weather game?
No.
A little bit? No?
No, it was like 40. It was like 40 or 39, and it was just constant rain. Like steady rain, not like crazy heavy thunderstorms, but just steady rain. And it was just like you weren't slipping all over the place. It was just like a normal like shower, nothing crazy, but it was 39, it was cold, it was rainy. Don Brown was absolutely drenched in the
He was
first
so
half.
moist. He was
It
so
was
moist.
just so, I mean, like his
mustache was so moist. A moistache, if you will.
it was ridiculous, like how, like I was like, dude, like get him another coat, like for real. Like it was bad. I was concerned for Don Brown, but after halftime he got a better coat. So I'll just say that.
And are we sure that they played UMass? Like, listen, Minutemen, I love you, but like, are we sure that was the team that showed up?
It was, because you know what, Texas A&M had 430 yards. Like they played. Now the problem was the turnovers.
Oh, okay. How many?
It was 3, I believe, all fumbles. I think they actually fumbled 5 times, but got 2 of them back. It was bad.
I have to assume that in terms of weather games where the Aggie faithful would accept this kind of a result, it would have to be like Little La Brea Tar Pits. It would have to be just swallowing tight ends.
Yeah, this is not what the Aggie faithful would take. If you paid those, was it $9,000 for this game, you were disappointed because those $9,000 seats, Beth, what those folks were doing in those same seats, the stands were empty enough that some dudes were having a relay race in the stands, and the game was boring enough that the camera was on that instead.
Okay, so no, that's not a relay race. Those are tryouts. They take the 12th man very seriously, and they were hoping that maybe they'd look up in the stand and be like, you know what, there is some talent at this university. I'll take you.
I'm sorry. That was the #1 recruiting class. There's plenty of talent on the field. I guess something else is going on.
I have no idea what that could be.
We did find out today that Texas A&M, the Qatar campus, actually has a cricket team. And so if they want to get Jimbo out of there, I feel like Jimbo, the cricket coach in Qatar is going to be where he needs to go.
Well, I mean, as a lifetime fan of WVU cricket,
baby.
Absolutely. Like, listen, if Jimbo wants to come back, he's a native West Virginian, he's a native son of the university, and he wants to help out with our cricket team, that would be totally fine. We have a lot of grad assistantships that, you know, we could talk to him, we could work something out.
Jimbo cricket analyst. He'd be talking really fast about that. For sure.
Oh yeah, Beth, watch the video in the Discord.
So I put a few things in the Discord for you since you missed basically this weekend. So there's the drenched Don Brown. That's him in the first half. Then the Aggie shirt relays after that. And then my favorite one is that there was 2 UMass players just basically doing their prayers before the game in the end zone corner. And then the Aggie cannon fired and basically blew smoke all over them, basically firing on the Minutemen, declaring war on Don Brown's men.
We knew at that point.
Oh my God. Well, at least somebody got to see some fireworks. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. You can guess that A&M fans took this game. Well, let's say the ones that follow us took it in stride because they were just laughing at this point and going, what can you even do with this?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Martin Seligman and the Doctrine of Learned Helplessness, but I think that's where the Aggie faithful are. As a West Virginia fan, I can relate.
Yeah.
Definitely can understand as a fan of my team, ULM. So, you know, again, just really, you know, there was a big fuss on like Twitter, like after they cleared out after the game, and like saying like their fan base is a joke or something like that. I'm like, this is ridiculous. No, it's like 39. They're not bowl eligible. I mean, like LSU was sparse, Alabama was sparse. I mean, really,
Yeah.
like this weekend. Yeah, I don't care about that, and then I just don't like. Sometimes in the college football, like Twitterverse, so to speak, like people like to just trash talk each other's teams, and that's not what we do. We're not a big like down talking on the teams because I mean we understand what they're going through a lot of the times, and we're here for some fun. UMass, I mean, if they could have punched in that touchdown on that one drive they had going,
yeah,
because they were running over the Aggies, and if they were up 7-3, I don't know what A&M could have done, and I mean, I really don't know.
God, those words are just
It's weird, huh?
it's bizarre.
But it's
It
like
was
I had the game on the whole time. It was like
Mhm.
legit. I don't know, but like UMass couldn't get anything done in the second half at
No,
all. Like
no,
they had them
but
stuffed out. Yeah.
they made adjustments
Yes.
and stopped the UMass attack in the second half.
What's the going rate for Nick Saban on Cameo? I wonder if you could get him to coach your team for what they're paying Jimbo Fisher just in having like Cameo play calls.
That reminds me of I forget what coach it was. The coach back in like the 10s or 20s that coached like
Yep.
3 teams and
By telegraph?
coached Iowa State by telegraph or something. Yeah. Can I get Jimbo Fisher to coach my team by telegraph? Okay. Kamish, Houston 42, ECU 3. Did this live up to your expectations?
I'm gonna say yes in the absolute weirdest way, because just watching this game in utter disbelief, really, at this point. I was expecting fireworks from both sides. Because Houston a few weeks ago they gave up 77 points to SMU. ECU just basically almost beat Cincinnati. They were looking like great and fantastic. They're at home. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Like Houston's defense shut down ECU completely. Like I mean, they shut them down. East Carolina didn't turn the ball over once.
No, they didn't at
turn it
all.
over
They just got
once.
stopped.
They went 3 and out so many times. I'm like, what is going on? Houston's up 21-0 at halftime, and they just kept going. What where did this come from? I will never try to predict what Houston's gonna do, because honestly, it's like rolling a 20-sided die. You have no idea what's gonna happen with Houston. And basically, if you try to bet on Houston, I feel bad for you, because you don't know. I mean, it's just throwing money in like one of those crazy, like the vending machines or whatever. They just blow money all around, all over the place.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's almost like playing the lottery to try to win. With you don't know what to expect.
That feels so Dana Holgerson. It makes perfect sense.
It's like you're betting Keno in the casino, and you're betting on Dana Holgerson to have something normal happen. And I did not see a basically drubbing by Houston, 42-3. They gave up 77 to SMU. Man.
Right.
Oh my God.
It perfectly encapsulates the Dana Holgerson experience, just for like more from a defensive standpoint than an offensive standpoint, because it is feast or famine with him. And it's it's sort of like you get the Red Bull high, you get the Red Bull crash. And
man, their defense was amped on some Red Bull, because I mean, and it's just funny, like you think like ECU getting blown out by this much, they would have made a lot of mistakes. No, none, nothing. They just couldn't get anything done. It's crazy.
yeah, when I think Houston, I think perfectly buttoned down, efficient and strong defense. I almost got through the sentence.
Do you remember when Houston hired Major Applewhite for like 2 years and was like, "This is what we want. This is what we want"? I think they learned their lesson. Houston wants to be rowdy, and they picked their rowdy boy to be in charge, and that's great.
Yeah, Houston's entire ethos boils down to just wee.
Exactly right.
Let's go for a ride on the Cougar coaster. And where are we going today? No idea.
No idea.
We're building the track.
We're building this fucking track as we're going, guys. It's a roller coaster where we're building the track. Again, our roller coaster tycoon days.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, Beth, I'm going to take you to the Big Ten. Michigan State played Indiana.
Okay.
Michigan State beat Illinois. They knocked Illinois off their train. Michigan State beat Wisconsin this year. Michigan State lost 39-31 to Indiana in overtime.
And double overtime.
Double overtime. My bad. Double overtime.
Oh.
Indiana passed 2 times for 7 yards.
No. Say that again. They completed 2 passes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, they completed 2 passes for 7 yards.
Okay, how many attempts?
No. They threw the ball 7 times. They completed.
Oh my God!
2 passes.
Sorry, I'm reading this wrong. Yeah.
Yes. They threw the ball 7 times. They completed 2 passes for a total of 31 yards passing.
Why? Why only? I don't understand.
Because it was working. because rushing was working, and they just decided to run the ball at Michigan State.
44
Nah.
times.
44 times. Michigan State had 540 yards. Indiana had 288. I want to say one of those passes was actually in overtime as well. I think going into overtime, they only had one
Yeah.
incompletion.
I think so. I think that's that's probably right. I think the pass was one of them to win it.
Have we ruled out demonic possession in this game as a possible reason for why this happened?
No idea. Honestly, Michigan State was in control of this game, and then they lost control. And then they had a field goal, a 22-yarder to win it, and they missed the field goal. Then
So this is like Michigan State is out and having a fairly nice evening, and they wake up the next day in a bathtub full of ice trying to figure out what on earth happened.
Yeah,
Yes.
and where their kidney is.
Yeah.
that's right. And so Michigan State in overtime, which was fantastic. The first OT, Michigan State goes to kick a field goal. Indiana blocks the field goal. Then they hold Indiana, and Indiana attempts the field goal, and Michigan State blocks the field goal. and that's how we wound up in double overtime.
It was bonkers. It was so good.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Big Ten has been such an embarrassment of riches for us this season. I hope that we have done it justice as a committee, because what they've given us to work with is just exquisite.
Well, let's talk about more yards don't matter. Total yards are a lie, because Iowa 13, Minnesota 10. So the Big Ten this week managed to have 4 games where no team broke 20 points.
Oh, it was a throwback week. Okay.
Yeah. And by throwback, you mean to earlier this season. But
Yes.
like I said, I've been watching some guy on YouTube has been posting these great old school games. And the more I watch them, the more I realize time is a flat circle, because these games look so familiar to me.
Oh my goodness.
Minnesota looked pretty good for a lot of this game. They got behind. It was 10-0 heading into like the second quarter. Minnesota comes back. Minnesota ties it. And then a last second Iowa field goal wins it.
It was one of those where like all the people on the timeline were just like, they can't just keep getting away with it. Iowa can't keep getting away with it. Like the running back, Mo Ibrahim for Minnesota had 263 yards rushing. But as Kirk Ferentz said, offensive yards are overrated. Kirk is definitely correct. I think he's being proven correct according to his brand of football. And again, they find a way to win. He almost ices his own kicker at the end.
We'll talk about that for Clock Commander, but holy
definitely.
shit,
But that, I mean, really, like it seemingly like Iowa was gonna win on like a interception return for a touchdown. Like I was like, there's no way that I was winning this on a defensive touchdown, which it nearly did, but they ruled that he stepped out, which I'm still kind of iffy that he
that
did
was
step out.
weird.
Yeah. So I mean, like Minnesota, I mean, just 2 like really, really costly turnovers. They had 2 turnovers, and basically Kirk Ferentz is like, you're gonna make a mistake, and they made 2 mistakes, because if Minnesota doesn't make these mistakes, they win the game.
Yeah.
I'm imagining PJ Fleck just like Yosemite Sam.
Oh yeah, no, I imagine that he was absolutely elevating in anger.
You realize that in a just world, TCU and Iowa would play this season, right?
Oh God. Yeah, that would be beautiful. Can I interest you in Wisconsin 15, Nebraska 14? This game, again, was really bizarre.
I mean, really, it's just like, apparently it was the 5th coldest game they've ever had in Nebraska.
Yeah.
So, like, we follow, I think it's Amy Just. She's a Nebraska reporter. We converse throughout the game. Like, Wisconsin looked awful throughout the entire game. And for some odd reason, Nebraska was able to get some points early. And they were just battling it. And Wisconsin gets a touchdown. It's 14-9. They missed the 2. And then last minute of the game, Nebraska's defense just bends a little bit too much, and they give up a touchdown, and it's 15-14 the Badgers, and then Nebraska just can't take it down to answer that last minute score.
Just kind of, well, we tried. Okay.
That was the epitome of, well, we tried. let's go to the the SEC, Beth. I want to take you to Ole Miss, Arkansas.
Okay.
Woo Pig, Arkansas 42, Ole Miss 27.
Whoa. Okay. Wow.
Ole Miss had 700 yards.
And they had how many points again?
27.
That's a problem.
I woke up to this. So last night my kid couldn't sleep, and so I went to go lay down in his bed and fell asleep early. And I had the game sort of in my ear. And I woke up this morning and I looked at this and I felt like I had shifted dimensions because this was the stat line, I did not believe it. I went back and watched some of this game and Ole Miss was on fire. But they turned the ball over 3 times.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's so many yards.
Arkansas was in control of this game the whole time, which was not something I was expecting to see.
So that 42-27 is very misleading. It was
Okay.
42-6.
Yeah.
And then Ole Miss scored 3 touchdowns at the end.
It was garbage. It was the epitome of garbage time.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, they just got ran over, as our friends like to say, they got whomped. They were whomping them. But yeah, 335 yards rushing for Arkansas. Ole Miss's rush defense is just not great this year.
No.
And, rumors circling that Lane's going to Auburn. It was his mind elsewhere, essentially. And it was just, and Lane was just like, if they saw these last 2 games, I mean, I don't think anybody wants me. So, and then there was a kind of a little bit of a referendum on what is Lane's best win as Ole Miss head coach.
God, we're here already. Arkansas's Raheem Sanders, 23 carries, 200 yards, 3 TDs.
Rocket Sanders.
Dude was a beast.
Wow.
And here's the thing. Ole Miss had 2 200-yard rushers. This game, numbers meant nothing. And like I said, the 27-42 is super misleading because it was in garbage time in the third quarter. So, other words. So, also in the SEC, Tennessee's been really good, right?
Yes.
Tennessee's been great. Tennessee's been on fire. Tennessee 38, South Carolina 63.
Wait.
South Carolina found a gear that no one knew they had.
Drive?
Yes. They finally got it out
I'm
of
sorry,
first.
Spencer Rattler. I didn't mean it.
I'm sorry. Spencer Rattler, who passed for 438 yards and 6 TDs, 30 for 37.
Oh my goodness.
Who looked like a god, like he descended. I don't know what happened. No one knows what happened.
Oh my goodness.
And
I have some friends who are Vols fans who their silence now makes a lot more sense. Oh my goodness.
and the worst is Hendon Hooker, QB for Tennessee. He ended up tearing his ACL.
Oh no.
So he's out for the future. And yeah,
that just stinks.
The game wasn't like really close at that point. I think it was like 56-31.
So it was already over.
It was pretty much over, and it was a non-contact.
He just went down, and you could tell.
Just went down, and it was just not good. And they announced it today. So, I mean, we wish him all the best. But I mean, again, like I don't know where this South Carolina offense came from. Like they've struggled to put up points, and like I mean, I can't even.
Yeah, they did it against Florida last week. They did that against Florida, and they were awful.
Yeah,
and then this. What is this team?
I mean, somebody said that this team, South Carolina, is like the super weapon for the SEC. That they are the pit of the SEC.
That's hard to argue with, I would say.
And I believe Pit Girl responded to the tweet like, I'm actually okay with this comparison. So let's just say you don't walk into Columbia, South Carolina at night because you may get sandstormed. I think my favorite tweet is that the South Carolina did after the game is they had like the guy on the banjo about to play Rocky Top. Mm-hmm. And basically when he started playing the banjo, it was actually Sandstorm. And it was great. It was amazing. I'd never heard Sandstorm on the banjo before, so it was great.
You know who South Carolina has next week, right? That's Clemson.
That other South Carolina school.
Yeah, but they already fired the super weapon.
That's the thing. And it's at Clemson too. So maybe not, but I'm just saying. Beth, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you the situation going into this game, and I want you to just tell me what you think happened.
Okay.
Ranked Oklahoma State played Oklahoma in Bedlam. Who do you think won that game?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma won that game, 28-13.
It's Bedlam. That's like you give the rowdiest name to the least rowdy game.
It was 28-0 at the end of the first.
Yeah, that feels right.
No, and that was all the scoring that Oklahoma did.
And then they stopped.
Oh no. Those
So-
kind of games. And so it was the kind of game that is fun for no one.
Right.
Because if you're ahead, you're panicking because like, please, just a little bit more offense, please. And like, it's just frustration the whole way around.
28-0, the most dangerous lead in all of football.
I
Perfectly
watched
safe.
this.
What could go wrong?
I watched this whole game. I don't know why it was.
Why did
just
you
on.
do that?
I know. I was there. It was on, and it was just like, I was like, this is crazy. There is no way. You know, like immediately I'm like, okay, well, how the hell did this just happen? And it's 28-0, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then like, you know, I think it was like 28-3 at halftime.
Yeah.
Like they settled for the sad field goal at halftime. And for some odd reason, like it felt like Oklahoma State had the ball the entire second, third, and fourth quarter. It was just ridiculous. Like Oklahoma State could drive and drive and drive and drive, and as soon as they get inside like the 30 of Oklahoma, it would just go horribly wrong. And like the quarterback for Oklahoma State, Spencer Sanders, had 381 yards passing. He had 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions.
Ooh.
And he was sacked 6 times by Oklahoma's defense. And it was just like every time, like it was for me, Sickos viewing wise, was just like, okay, maybe Oklahoma State is going to make this a game now. They get inside the 30.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there goes the interception, or he gets sacked, the turnover on downs. I mean, they got like 10 more points. It was just like, it's so ridiculous.
The red zone is lava.
Yes.
I mean, they just could not do any. As soon as they got into the red zone, or like a little bit outside the red zone, like Oklahoma State just broke down. Like there was like a big play. Oklahoma State, like they punt it back to them, and Oklahoma State starts on the 20. They get, hey, they're in Oklahoma territory, like really quickly, and then it just goes wrong. I want to say I've never seen somebody's jersey so green in my life. Like Spencer Sanders' jersey was just so green for how many times he hit the turf. Like just grass stains all over his jersey. It was just, he was harassed all night long. He was not happy. I don't know why I watched this whole game, but I couldn't turn it off. I was just like, is because I mean it was 28-13, and I'm like, if they score a touchdown, this is a 1-possession game again. And then the entire state of Norman, or the stadium was just puckering up, which I'm sure they
were so puckered. They were
so puckered. And I was like, come on, just give me that touchdown. Just give me that one. Make it 28-20. Just give me that one. And then it just never came.
Congratulations, Oklahoma, bowl eligible in week 11, just like usual, just like they drew it up. Okay, Beth, Kansas State 48, West Virginia 31.
So the over-under on this game was 54 and a half. They nearly had that at the end of the first quarter. They got it early in the second, right?
So look at go and check the Discord out. I put the box score in there. You can see you can see what the quarters looked like.
So we hit the over-under. We hit the over-under early in the second, my dad said. My dad was actually wondering if perhaps you guys knew of any other game that hit its over-under that fast.
Ooh, I'll have to check that out. I can look that up. I can run that. That's an easy query to find.
It was fairly quick from what he said. I am grateful to the Kansas State Wildcats for sparing me having to watch West Virginia in any type of a bowl game, although I am sorry that the whole Big 12 bowl eligible thing won't be happening this year.
Nope.
But I didn't listen. I'm fine with this team playing one more time and then we move on to greener pastures. And that's not a token endorsement for Garrett Green. That's just, listen, it needs to be over.
I wasn't paying attention to this game until someone tweeted at us and pointed out what the score was at the end of the first quarter. And I about lost my mind when I saw 28-19.
Apparently, like, there were 2 pick sixes in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Like, this was haymakers only mode for a little
Mhm.
while before West Virginia remembered that they don't really know how to play football this year.
It's like Wile E. Coyote going off the cliff. He doesn't
Oh,
know
yeah.
he's falling until he looks. West
Oh, yeah.
Virginia's like, this is great. This is great. Wait, it's football. Oh no!
Oh, no!
Texas Tech 14, Iowa State 10. Iowa State loses another one-possession game, another one-score game. Hell is real, and Iowa State is living in it.
I feel like Iowa State is in one of the early Mario Kart levels, and there's one banana peel on the track, just one, and they're going to hit that banana peel every single time. Like, they're aimed at it like a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
They could be invincible. It's not going to matter. They managed to hit a banana peel in a bullet bill, and I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah. Iowa State just needs to wipe this season and start again. These are the kinds of days where I've definitely had days in my life where I've been like, you know what, this day just sucks. I'm going to go back home, take another shower, and just restart on this day. They need to just get out of this season and not be here anymore. In the ACC, Miami 10, Clemson 40. This is not surprising.
Right.
Miami is not great. But here's the fun fact. At the half, Miami had 9 yards.
9 yards on their way to 10 points.
Yes.
Whew.
Clemson had 228 yards. Miami has a wasting disease, and it's bad.
Yeah, what Gold Rush era disease does Miami have this week?
You know what? It may be scurvy again.
Eat a lime, guys. It's not that hard.
Have a margarita. It's not hard. Have a daiquiri. You live
Yeah.
in fucking South Florida.
Yeah, it's fine. You can find those things all over the place. They literally grow on trees down there.
So, Kamish, you called this.
I mean, I called the Canes amount of points. Like, I think the over-under was 14.5, and my instincts were telling me to go over the 14.5, and then I just did the opposite, and I said they'll have 10, and they got 10. So I got that correct. I wanted to let you know that this game, again, halftime, Miami down 24-0, pretty much out of the game whatsoever. In the second half, like, Miami kind of asserted themselves a little bit, and there was like this little tension, slight tension in the game, and it was weird. So Miami got a safety. Clemson got a safety in Miami. It was 26 to 3, and then Clemson fumbled the ball, and then Miami took it in for a touchdown. And it was 26-10 after that occurred. So this is what happened. This is what Miami did on their last drive, essentially. Their last drives, essentially within 2 possessions of Clemson in Death Valley. So they forced a 3-and-out of Clemson after they got that touchdown, right? Then Miami goes 6 plays, fumbles. Clemson touchdown. Then so it's 33-10. Then Miami gets the ball back, 2 plays, fumble. Basically, like, Clemson got 2 touchdowns essentially in the last 4 minutes of the game to make this look like 40-10. So
Okay.
a little bit more deceiving than what it is. But again, Miami just again, they are turnover machines. Like, they turn the ball over way too much. And I don't know if that's a sign of an extremely young team, poorly coached team. I have no idea. But they had something going, and their defense was playing great, but those last 2 fumbles were basically like inside the red zone, and
Yeah.
Clemson basically just pounded them in and just ran up the score a little bit there.
I mean, it's the karmic payback for the turnover chain.
Yes,
They
Gotta bring it
ran up.
back.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they ran up a ton of credits and turnovers, and the time comes to pay that bill, Miami, and that's just where we are. And you're just going to have to live with that fact that you're going to have butterfingers on the ball for a while.
Louisville 25, NC State 10. Louisville, Scott Satterfield cannot get fired. He is invincible. He is a golden god. He cannot get fired. NC State
Oh.
has reverted to the mean, and this is a game that got moved to the ACC Regional, and probably for the best.
I cannot wait until Louisville starts playing their home games in the Satterfield. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, he's gonna fuck around and end up with a statue there.
Yep.
Oh my God, Louisville plays Kentucky next week. Oh no.
Oh,
Yep.
no.
Mm-hmm.
A game that neither team cares about.
And now that Mark Stoops just got extended, which means that that Louisville's going to come in and win this one.
So apparently he signed an extension 9 days ago on the 11th, which
Before
was
it before the Vandy loss?
Before the Vandy loss. So great timing, Mr. Stoops, on signing that contract.
He has
Absolutely.
he has the best contract in the SEC. He has the best job. He's getting paid more than Calipari now. Kentucky is a football school. Beth, I'm going to give you another score, and I'm going to let you just sit with it for a moment.
Okay.
Georgia Tech 29, UNC 17. Sorry, Georgia Tech 21, UNC 17.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense, but it still makes no sense at all.
Georgia Tech wins it against
Like I
UNC.
heard words and there were numbers, and then my brain just turned to static.
Offensive yards do not matter. UNC had 70 more yards than Georgia Tech. Doesn't matter.
What dark god did Mac Brown anger?
I think he is the dark god.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Never mind.
He's lost his powers since he's come back to Earth.
You know, this game was one of those things that I want to say that Brent Key corrected his microphone thing. So I don't know if he listens to the podcast.
He's not flipping it up and down anymore.
He's not flipping it up and down anymore. So I was watching the game, and he was actually like having the conversation, and he was just not doing the up and down, up and down, up and down. Maybe that's a nervous tick, and he didn't do it this game. They went down 17-0 to UNC. UNC was up 17-0. Georgia Tech rattled off 21 unanswered, and Georgia Tech was down to their third and fourth string quarterbacks. They were rotating their third and fourth string quarterbacks to get this win over 13 UNC. So that weird miracle, maybe UNC goes undefeated and they beat Clemson in the ACC, and then you have to have that weird, like, are they good enough to get into the actual playoff, not the FCS playoffs? But yeah, that got shut down. So Georgia Tech, one win away from bowl eligibility. All you got to do is beat Georgia.
I just listen. This is Georgia Tech showing you what their playoff resume is. They beat a potential playoff team with a huge comeback win. The comeback kings, the Ramblin' Wreck. It makes perfect sense. So I see no reason why they shouldn't be in any playoff discussion.
I'm telling you, I said UNC was going to win, and Georgia Tech wins. I'm looking forward to saying that Georgia's going to beat Georgia Tech next year, next week, and then prove me wrong.
Close the deal, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God.
Oh God.
Oh God. Yes, please.
I'm happy to speak this into existence. Let's make this happen. Let's get weird.
There's no way, but come on now. Let's give me some chaos.
Wake 45, Syracuse 35. Syracuse is okay. They're good. I think they're gonna do the 6-6 thing though. Win 6 and lose 6. I just got the feeling.
Syracuse meh?
Is Syracuse meh? They went 6-0. Now they're 6-5. They play next week. They play, I believe, is it on the road in Boston College?
Yeah, at Alumni
Boston
Field.
College. Boston College got blown out by Notre Dame 44-0. So that was definitely. Let's see what BC and Syracuse. That's going to be one of the ones that. Why is it so late at night? Oh my God! It's a late night prime time Syracuse BC. Oh yes! All right, I am so excited for this one now. But
up
again,
in the snow globe.
Oh man, it's in Massachusetts. It's gonna be. Oh man, so Syracuse can get to 7-5. I mean, I feel like they're good enough to get a bowl game, and that's basically what I feel like their fans wanted this year.
I'll give you one guess as to what station Syracuse Boston College is on.
It's got to be the ACC network for sure.
It's on the regional, baby. It's on the regional.
That will make it to the quad box, guaranteed.
Oh, that's so good.
Navy beat UCF.
Really?
Yeah.
You're sure? I'll look it up.
Navy beat UCF. UCF that is, on its way to the ACC championship game, had the inside track to being the G5 team in NY6 Bowl. and they lost to Navy 17-14.
Ugh.
Navy passing yards 0,
Okay. That's
which is not shocking. They did attempt one pass, but then realized that just wasn't their thing, and so they stopped.
okay.
I got nothing else on this one. This is a weird game. This
No,
was
so this one-
this is the one that kicked at like 10 a.m. This one kicked at
This-
like
yeah.
11 a.m. Eastern. It was bizarre.
Ugh.
Yeah. So basically, again, this is just like a headline for all the service academies. I know Army did defeat UConn, and Air Force did beat up Colorado State. The three
Okay.
service academies. The three service academies were combined 0 for 4 passing on Saturday, but they rushed. They were 0 for 4 passing.
Yeah, just like they drew it up.
Just like
God,
they
I
drew it.
love this.
That's right. They rushed for a combined 927 yards, and all three of them won, including Navy, again, shocking Central Florida in the American race there. My favorite thing about this game was that, Navy took the lead early, and they were able to go in with like a 14-6 halftime lead. Central Florida tied it up, 14-14. Central Florida went for it on like a 4th down inside Navy's territory at like the Navy 43. Navy stopped them on the 4th down. After they were up 17-14, Navy was just basically, they sat on the lead with an 11-play, 33-yard drive to kill the final 5 minutes and 54 seconds of the game.
Like you want to. Beth, Florida 24, Vanderbilt 31.
Ugh. You
Vanderbilt-
have died of dysentery.
Vanderbilt now has a 2-game SEC win streak.
The offense, commish?
Oh, I just want to say that there really wasn't too much vaunted Vandy offense.
There wasn't?
But they had enough. They did have a big run to get them ahead. The craziest play in this game where there was a punt by Vandy, and it like bounced over the Florida punt returner's head, who tried to like gather it with like his fingers, and it like fumbled and bounced into the end zone. And then the long snapper for Vandy recovered the fumble in
How
the
is he
end
the
zone.
first one there? How did he get there that fast?
He wasn't the first one there, but the way the ball was bouncing around, so the long snapper snapped the ball to the punter. The punter punted it. He ran the entire field basically after he snapped it, and ran into the end zone after the fumble, and he recovered the ball. So we had a long snapper touchdown in the Vandy game. So Vandy got a long snapper touchdown. This is the first time I think they beat Florida since like 98.
First time
So
they beat
again-
them. Yeah. Or they beat them I think the first time they beat them at home since 98. or something like
Okay,
that.
since 98. That's right. So again, feels like 98, in this situation. And then at the end of the game, this was the most casual field storm ever.
Like
I
a
guess
field stroll.
it was just like they put down stairs and they slowly walked in. And you could see the video. There was like one Vandy fan just extremely excited to be on the field, and then the rest of the fans were just like, "Hey, we're just standing
Yeah.
on the field now."
Don't mind this guy. He's new. Yeah.
Yeah. He's new. It's just like, hey, we're standing on the field after we beat unranked Florida.
Can we get to bowl eligible Vandy?
They got to beat Tennessee next week.
Oh. Oh no. No, that's
3 in a row, baby.
Man, so I mean, it's been a
oh
crazy
my
year.
goodness.
This is
Boy, Tennessee's season takes a turn if that happens.
So I wanted to correct you, Kamish.
uh-oh.
The last time that Vandy won was in Gainesville in 2013. That was
Alright.
the 3rd year of the Will Muschamp administration.
Okay.
Okay.
And then before that, the last time that Vandy had won, and the last time they had won in Nashville, full stop, was in 88.
88. Okay, not 1998, 1988. Okay, it's even
Like that's old enough. That's far enough back that even the 3 of us would have trouble remembering things that happened in 1988.
I mean, I can tell you that West Virginia played in the national championship game that year. Let's not look it up and let's not talk about how it went. But hey, that did happen. It's the only time that's ever happened.
Auburn took care of Western Kentucky. It was close until it wasn't. It ended up being 41-17. But none of that really matters because Big Red was there and he was amazing. Big Red's pelvis was thrusting so aggressively and so much. It was wonderful. He would thrust in happiness, thrust in sadness. He would thrust at his own team, thrust at the other team. It was great.
I mean, I feel like Big Red has 2 things that are expressive. the mouth and the pelvis.
Yeah.
That's really it. If you're making a big red action figure, it has 2 articulated joints, and that's it. And we can celebrate that, I think, just as a country.
I used to have on my car dash in high school one of the Hawaiian dancer things.
Hmm.
And I feel like I could reskin that as Big Red.
Oh,
It's just the
absolutely.
hips would just rock back and forth.
Yep. No, I think that is fantastic.
I think I would do that. Yeah, I would definitely have a big red, like what is it? It's not a hood ornament. What do they call that?
Like a dash ornament, whatever, yeah.
A dash ornament?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely would need one of those. Replace the GPS with big red.
Mhm.
Done. Sold.
We had some folks there who were tweeting at us for various things, and the cheerleaders and Big Red were going into the locker room at halftime, and like, Big Red, what do you have to say about what do you have to say about this first half? Hip thrust, hip thrust, hip thrust, hip thrust. It was great.
It was beautiful. Western Kentucky and Auburn were tied 17-17 at one point in this game, and then all of a sudden, like, Auburn blew it open and they took it away. They took it away from the Hilltoppers, but that's because they didn't have Big Red on the helmets. You put Big Red on the helmets, undefeated with Big Red on the helmets. You got to keep it going.
Yeah, let that be a lesson to you.
The Sickos game of the week: Stanford at Cal. I fired up my VPN. Got
Where?
Moldova again this time. It feels like a good. I tried North Macedonia first. Connection was a little slow, so I switched over.
Okay.
And this game was just a quagmire. It was so. There were moments of greatness, and then it just like absolutely gummed up. I posted a lot of Oskies again, and I make no apologies for my behavior. One of the guys, I forget what podcast they run. I forget what it is. They're like,
Three Tech podcast.
Other two podcasts. They're like,
Yeah.
I love everything you guys do, except for the fucking Bears. It's weird.
Everything else we do is completely normal. That, however, is weird.
Everyone has their line, and for some people, it's the nightmare bear.
Well, I mean, again, we could always use those sensitivity filters if necessary.
Exactly
if you want
right.
to do that, they're there for you, Jordan. If you want to use that to not alarm anybody with all the nightmare.
I will make
Oskies.
it worse. I will make it worse.
Yes, you definitely it's just like you click, you buy whatever you see behind this. So look at him. He's got an evil laugh going on already.
Yep.
But this game was absolutely nuts. It was a blast. I wrote about this one in the synopsis. You probably heard the intro for this one, which I recorded in front of Jordan and
in front of a live studio audience.
In front of a live studio audience. That was kind of weird. I normally do that off to the side, so doing this in front of everybody was very strange. Stanford went up right off the gate. Stanford shot out and scored a touchdown. We're like, what the hell? Like, Stanford went down with the touchdown. Like, Cal got a field goal. Stanford got a field goal. Cal got another field goal. And then Stanford got another touchdown. And it was 17-6 at halftime. And I'm like, this is, like, I don't see any way Cal's coming back from this.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Stanford was stopping Cal, doing everything. It was ridiculous. Then the fourth quarter happened. And Cal scored 21 straight points in the fourth quarter. It was amazing. Cal scored a touchdown. Then they got a fumble return for a touchdown to take the lead. They hit the 2-point conversion there. And then they intercepted Stanford again and took it back inside the 10. And then the Cal running back, it was like a majestic dive over, it was almost like a swan dive into the end zone. Like, I think he took off from the 5-yard line. Maybe I'm exaggerating it a little bit, but and then he went over there and got for the touchdown. The favorite part of the game is again, I'm completely laughing here. It's a 10-point game. At the end, Stanford decides to kick a 61-yard field goal. Decides to kick a 61-yard field goal. It's a 10-point game. There's 5 seconds left. The field goal doesn't matter whatsoever in this case. So they send their kicker out to make the field goal. He bangs through the 61-yard field goal.
It's great. It was beautiful.
Oh, wow.
An amazing kick. But the clock expired at the same time. So the Stanford kicker makes a field goal, and the Stanford team is congratulating him on making the field goal. The camera pans to the Cal coach with his arms up, victorious in victory. But it looks like he's celebrating the Stanford guy just making a field goal. not the game that the time expired. So I keep watching that video over and over again. And then they show the Cal quarterback. I think it was Plummer, the quarterback, and he's got his hand on his helmet, and he's like, "Do I celebrate this? The game's over." He's just very confused on what to do, on what happened. The Cal fans, they storm the field and they carry off the quarterback. It was great. I mean, it's great for Cal. They both had some rough seasons, and they sold the game out. It matters a ton to both of these teams, and that's what made it the Sickos game of the week, because we know that both of these teams hate each other. They had the BART train, the Bay Area Rapid Transit, and Caltrain were going at it on social media. So you had public transit wars talking trash before this game. So it's a big game.
A shout out to our friends on Tightwad Hill. Tightwad Hill is the spot at Cal that overlooks it's a free spot where it overlooks the stadium. And we got a lot of folks up there. And the official account of Tightwad Hill also follows us, and they always shout us out. So congrats to them.
The two college football experiences that I most want to have in my life are watching a game from Tightwad Hill and watching a game from a tree stand in Boone.
Also, shout out to the Stanford band for spelling out UAW, because the UAW is on strike and they support them, and that's awesome.
Free the tree.
I'm going to do a couple of them in order pretty fast that are weird ones. Georgia State 40, JMU 42. James Madison was down 34-14 at one point and won this game 42-40.
That's awesome. Go JMU.
The funny part was in this game is that like JMU went from 34-14 all the way up to 42-40. I'm sorry, 42-34. Then Georgia State scored a last-minute touchdown, and they missed a 2-point conversion. So this one almost went to OT. It was a close one, but the Dukes survived.
Troy 34, ULM 16. The Warhawks are done for the season in terms of bowl eligibility.
So the Miracle in Monroe is not going to happen. This was the tough game. I'm surprised they beat Georgia State. Really, in this game, like ULM could not get anything going in the first half. The Troy defense was all over the quarterback, and they were down 13-0. ULM was trying to drive. I think maybe one play into their drive after going down 13-0, the quarterback got stripped, and it was like the easiest scoop and score possible. Nobody around him, picked up the ball, and then began to run again, and nobody was near him the entire time. It was 20-0. That kind of sealed the game and the fate for the Warhawks. They made it. It was 27-3 at one point, and then ULM scored a touchdown, so it's 27-9. I'm like, okay, it's a 3-possession game. Go for 2 here. Go for 2. It's the middle of the third quarter. You're still alive. Go for 2. They decided to kick the extra point, and then after they kicked that extra point, I'm like, you're down 17 now. Did you really think you're going to get, a lot more opportunities against Troy to win this? And they didn't. And so it seemed like they were resigned to their fate middle of the third quarter, which is kind of disappointing in the coaching. But, it's not going to set up the bowl bonanza for the sibling rivalry, which is no fun. But, hopefully ULM can get 5 wins this year compared to 4 last year.
Texas State beats Arkansas State 16-13. It was a last-second field goal. We're going to say Texas State avenges ULM, okay? We're going to put it that way.
Okay.
We'll do that. Texas State avenge ULM because ULM beat Texas State, and then Arkansas State beat, ULM, which they always do that. This was funny to me because, again, like, there's a bunch of other craziness going on, and I'm tweeting about this game because, again, the random tickets for $446 that I found for this one, I wonder if they got their money's worth.
Seems like they did. That was a good game.
It was crazy because Texas State kicks a field goal in this game with 3 minutes and 17 seconds left to go up 13-10. Arkansas State drives down all the way down, and they kick a field goal with 31 seconds left to tie it 13-13. Texas State is able to drive basically almost the length of the field in like a few plays to get a field goal in 31 seconds and win the game 16-13. So that's got to be like really disappointing if you're an Arkansas State fan to
Yeah.
give up like 31 seconds and you give up a field goal. And it was a 29-yard field goal. It wasn't even like a far field goal.
No.
Nope.
Mitsu beats FAU to be bowl bound. Mitsu's quarterback, Chase Cunningham, threw for 448 yards, 5 TDs, and 1 int.
Whoo!
Good God.
This game was weird because I was watching it and I was like, who the hell is wearing black?
That was bizarre. Yeah.
And I was just like, wait, so the Blue Raiders are having a blackout game. I'm like, oh, okay. It's just, but it was weird. It was just like black tops and a black helmet and then white pants. And so I was very confused. Like, it wasn't a full blackout. I didn't know who it was for a bit. And I'm like, I had to keep reminding myself with the game on, like, this is Middle Tennessee. This is Middle Tennessee.
FIU 6, UTEP 40. UTEP Bullbound Express rolls on. FIU total yards in this game. I'm going to double check this number because it seems very low. I'm going to double check this. Okay, that's correct. FIU total yards for this game, 71.
Ew.
UTEP total yards for this game, 525. So UTEP handled this game very well. They need one more game to be bowl eligible. Unfortunately, that does mean traveling to UTSA, who absolutely just wiped Rice off the map this week.
The Bullbound Express, we tweeted it, and it's just like, well, they have to beat UTSA. And then a bunch of our UTSA followers are like, I think one of them was at Meat Nation just responded. Meat Nation responded with a gif of Morgan Freeman just going, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and then somebody else responded with like the train derailing gif, and I'm like, like UTSA beat up UTEP last year. I don't necessarily know. I don't think it's gonna go well. UTSA did clinch the Conference USA championship. They are now clinched into hosting the Conference USA title game. I mean, really, UTSA doesn't necessarily have much to play for in
Rest
this
your
situation.
starters, Meeps.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, no matter what happens in this game, UTEP, I mean, they had a rough year. They had some games they should have won. And, you know, to have it come down like this, it's rough for the Bullbound Express.
Do you know who the happiest people about UTEP are this year? When I posted that thing, all the Boise fans were like, you know what? Sucks to see us in there, but without that loss, shit would have gotten a lot worse a lot faster. So you know what? I'm okay with this.
They have a real begrudging, thank.
They
like,
do.
Hey, thank you for beating us, UTEP. Thank you. We got rid of our offensive coordinator. Our quarterback at the time entered the transfer portal, and now we are dominating the Mountain West. I think Boise still undefeated in the Mountain West?
Yeah, they are.
The Mountain, yeah. So like it finally gave them the impetus to get rid of those two people, and all Boise State fans are thankful for UTEP for beating them.
Yeah, they're all just super happy about it.
They're like, hey, come on, UTEP, you deserve a bowl game after helping us out. It was the UTEP Yip Yips game.
Yeah, Boise 20, Wyoming 17.
I mean, this one,
I'm
just gonna go. I'll go for this one. So this was just like a back and forth. As we said, this is a lopsided matchup that Boise has beaten Wyoming 15 out of the 16 times they've played. Wyoming has only beaten Boise once. Okay. And so the only time that they beat Boise was in 2016. It was the safety dance with the hip thrust, the famous Wyoming, I guess, gif here. So Wyoming's leading this game 10-0. Boise starts to fight back. Boise takes the lead 13-10. Then Wyoming takes the lead back on like an 83-yard touchdown run, so it's 17-13. Then Boise takes the lead back. It's 2017. Now, this bizarre series of plays happens at the end. It is just so ridiculous. So Wyoming has a chance to come tie or win the game. So Wyoming, they get to their own 29. Then they throw an interception. So Boise's basically trying to run out the clock at this point. I don't think really Wyoming has any timeouts or maybe have like one left. Yeah. And Boise tries to run in this situation. Then Boise fumbles. So Boise fumbles. Wyoming picks up the ball, and they're trying to run it back all the way. and they get all the way to like Boise's 21. And so now there's like 39 seconds left. Wyoming has the ball on Boise's 21. They're in prime position to at least get a
range
field goal.
At least, yeah.
At least get a field goal. Maybe win the game. First pass, Wyoming interception.
Oh no.
It was just like, you couldn't believe it. Like, he threw it in double coverage. Like, it was almost like the Boise cornerback ran the route for the wide receiver.
I rewatched this. It was just, oh my God, heartbreak.
I feel so bad for the Wyoming fans. I'm sure Boise fans don't feel bad for Wyoming fans. But Boise clinched the Mountain West Mountain Division. They are now, I believe, they're 8-3 or 9-3 overall? 8-3 overall, and 7-0 in the Mountain West. So they're going to be hosting the Mountain West Championship game in the blue turf now.
It's a little more Mountain West fun. We have Utah State over San Jose State. Sorry, I lost my scores real fast.
Yeah, so this one was a fun back and forth game. It was like there's like Utah and Oregon going on right now, and nobody really doing anything in the game. I'm watching this one on, I think it was on FS1, and this one just going back and forth. Like, I mean, it's just lead changes after lead changes. I mean, it was like Utah State was up 28-16. I'm like, okay, I think this is kind of it. San Jose State 28-23. Then they get it to 31-28. San Jose State's leading. Then Utah State gets a touchdown to take the lead. So San Jose State tries to get a first down, and they don't. Then Utah State's about to kick a field goal to make it like 38-31. I'm sorry. And what happened is that I think this was a nice little flop job by the Utah State kicker.
Yeah.
A little floppy, but he sold it pretty well. And it just like running into the kicker gets them a first down, and then they run out the clock. So Utah State is now bowl eligible, which is great. So both San Jose State and Utah State are both bowl eligible. I just imagine where Utah State was when they lost that game to like Weber State, and they got blown out by Weber State.
Yeah.
They fought back in the Mountain West, and they've just found ways to win, and now they're bowl eligible.
Do you know who's not going to be bowl eligible? UNLV.
Nope.
UNLV lost to Hawaii, 31-25 on the island, and that puts them out of bowl eligibility. UNLV, after such a good start, they've lost 6 in a row. Like, the skid just kept going. Hawaii looked really good this week. That was definitely one of the better games they've played this year. Hawaii definitely seems to be having fun, which I think is the most important thing right now because they were miserable for so fucking long. Mm-hmm. Beth, let me tell you about a coin flip. Okay?
Okay.
You're going to make the noise, right?
Yeah, I'll put the coin flip in here.
Okay.
So, the Ohio Valley Conference for football, they have 7 teams, but they don't play a round-robin schedule. And it just so happens that the 2 teams, UT Martin and Southeast Missouri, did not play each other this year. Tiebreaker 1, 2, and 3 were all inconclusive. Tiebreaker 4 is a coin flip. And the team that gets the coin flip gets the automatic bid for
I love this so much.
And so it happened. And Ohio Valley Conference goes, well, we'll be streaming it live from our Twitter page.
Oh my gosh.
In the middle of all these games, we're watching a coin flip. And it was the least ceremonial coin flip you've ever seen. It was this sort of like little old woman who's like, do I stand here? Okay, I'm going to stand here. I've got a coin. We're going to flip it. Okay, what are we going to call? And off camera, you hear, tails never fails. Okay, is that tails? Okay. But the quality of the camera and the broadcast was so bad, they flipped it. And they go, oh, it's heads. And they zoom in. And you can't see what it actually is. It just looks like pixelated mess.
Oh, that's so good.
But apparently that meant that Southeast Missouri State got it. And they're in the FCS playoffs. And UT Martin is not. I mean, even in soccer, whenever they have 2 teams, they have to do something like this. They'll put 2 balls in a bowl and they'll swish them around and there'll be a whole thing. No, this was just like someone it looked like, an office annex flipping a coin and hitting the ground. It was hilarious.
Did they explain like who this person was?
No.
Like,
No.
Nope.
so I wanted to be like they just like went into Costco and found somebody in the back by the rotisserie chickens and were like, "Hey, do you have a couple of minutes?"
It felt like that. It was such a they knew this was the possibility. I don't know why they didn't, plan it slightly better.
What in this kind of a situation, like I love that. I would also love it if you can get like your live mascot to choose
Yes.
somehow. Like that would also be wonderful.
Or that's your tiebreaker. The two mascots leg wrestle or something. Like whatever.
Yeah. What is it like? Is it the zoo in Germany that has the octopus that chooses World Cup games?
That was Pulpo Paul. He was in Spain, I believe.
Thanks.
He passed away a couple years ago, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're not the most long-lived of things.
No, yeah,
so-
that's I realized that after I was like, oh, maybe he'll be here for this World Cup. No, he's been dead for like 10
No.
years. Oh well. So yeah, that coin flip was absolutely bizarre.
We need more invertebrates picking games.
The best part for me, it was just so many in the replies were just. I'm sorry, I could stop the invertebrates picking games. Sorry,
I was just-
just like I'm stumbling at this point. Just like I'm like, okay, all right, I think I've gathered myself. All right, so the reply was like, well, apparently they drew like names to see who would call the coin toss. But,
Yeah.
well, how did they decide who would draw first? Was it a coin flip?
Another
And,
one.
and I was like,
It's just
it just
it's
goes
just coin
on.
flips the whole way down.
So I mean, this is like funny for us when we did the coin flip chaos week that they actually had like an actual coin flip to determine. I kind of wanted UT Martin to get it so they would get the auto bid because Southeastern Missouri would have probably made it as
Yeah.
an at-large team. So I feel bad for Dressel Wynn and the Skyhawks of UT Martin.
Kamish, who's our clock commander of the week?
So I got a couple of nominations. I mentioned, I feel like I'm forgetting one and I cannot remember it. So
I
maybe
can't remember it
it's not-
either. I'm looking at these.
it's
I
not-
can't remember the third.
There was the third one. I don't remember who it was. It may come to me in the middle of doing this. So we had Lincoln Riley in the UCLA USC game. Lincoln Riley went to go call a timeout to avoid a delay of game, but the snap wasn't delayed. And then he argued with the official that he didn't call it. Then they showed a replay of Lincoln Riley actually calling the timeout. Like, I mean, just like in the face, and the side judge, I guess, doesn't give him the timeout right away.
Yeah.
But then the head ref, makes him use the timeout, and Lincoln Riley is like yelling on the field, like, I didn't mean to call a timeout. I didn't mean to do that. And then like everybody saw in the replay, he totally, and it was like one of those like brazen, like timeout, like cocky.
Oh yeah, no, it was
calls.
big. It was big.
It was big. It was like timeout. It's just like, it was just way way emphatic timeout. It wasn't like, little tiny like timeout. No, he went kind of crazy with that one. Then the other one was Kurt Ferentz, which I talked about earlier. His kicker, which I believe is like a freshman. Kicker.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and he basically called a timeout before like a 22-yard field goal to win the game, essentially against Minnesota, and he calls a timeout. He iced his own kicker.
Ferentz's dedication to a hatred of offense is just breathtaking at
Yeah.
times.
It's beautiful.
Like, I hate all offense, including our offense.
Like, I just need enough points to win this game. But
And
let me
points
call
come
it
from
timeout.
defense.
Yes, I was like, no, the points should come from the defense. They should not come from offense. His kicker like barely like scooted the ball in. I mean, just scooched past the left upright to get that in and to make it 13-10. I think I got to give it to Lincoln Riley this week personally,
Yeah.
because that was like, he got caught in a lie, like, and then like the emphatic, like, arrogant timeout call. I'm gonna have to give it to Lincoln Riley.
Absolutely.
So Lincoln Riley, clock commander of the week, for your timeout call that you said you didn't try to call. when we totally saw you try to call
We
us out.
all saw you do it.
We all saw you, Lincoln. We all saw you.
Everyone saw.
Everyone saw. Okay, guys, we need to let Beth get to sleep. It's late on the East Coast. We will see everyone for our preview of Rivalry Week, sort of, except for the ones that were played this week. Kamish, you got anything else?
No, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Share it with your friends. Download. Do we need them to like rate and subscribe or
Nah,
whatever?
it's fine. We're good.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like with us, we're just doing this for fun. So again, thank you so much for listening, and we're gonna do another one on Tuesday, so you'll have something to listen to over Thanksgiving, and you can avoid your family. So listen to our podcast and avoid your family. Eat some turkey, whatever you got to do. So we'll be here for you.
Sounds good.